Mr. Chairman, members of the school committee, I'd like to thank you for inviting me here tonight to speak about the state of our school. Tonight, we're going to be going over the 2021 and 2020 accountability scores of Edward R. Martin Middle School, presented to our school committee today, July 18th, 2022. Let's get started. So, taking a look at the agenda, we're going to go over what the RIDE star rating actually is, go over some of the commonly used terms on the RIDE report card, and then evaluate and analyze some of our data points. We also need to identify some areas of need in order to earn our next star, and then create an action plan for school improvement moving forward. So here's our current standing. As of 2018 and 19, our school was sitting at a 2 out of 5. And you might be wondering, and maybe concerned seeing that, what does this star rating mean? So let's get into it. As part of the Every Student Succeeds Act, which was passed in 2020, every school is required to submit our data at the end of the year to RIDE to be used as a measure of student and school performance. This report card basically measures several different aspects that we're going to highlight in today's slides. So here is the actual report card that we received as of 2018 and 19. The only reason we don't have one from 2020, 2021, and then for this next coming year in January when we will get it, is because RIDE basically waived school accountability in this report card as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So every school is measured on a rating of 1 to 5 on ELA and math achievement, ELA and math growth, English language proficiency, absenteeism, teacher absenteeism, and then a number of low performing student subgroups in a school. Now, if I were speaking on East Providence High School, we'd be looking at our graduation rate and the Diploma Plus rate. But because we're a middle school, we're not graded on those two portions of the STAR rubric. So let's get right into some of our data from this year. As of 2020 and 2021, our chronic absenteeism rate was sitting at 12%. Chronic absenteeism basically just represents a student who is absent for 10% or more of the school year, which translates to 18 days or more. That's a lot of time to be missing. However, as the COVID pandemic ended in 2020 and 2021, when we returned, this past year, when we returned back to a full learning model with all students coming in person, our students really struggled with being here. As you can see from this data trend, we started in 2017-18 with 24% of our students being chronically absent. We formed that attendance team and started to move the needle, right? Dropping to 15%, dropping to 8% prior to COVID, to 12% with hybrid learning because we were allowed to count students who were learning through distance learning, to this year where students were really struggling socially and emotionally to be here. There was a lot of trauma that occurred as a result of this. And this is an area where we're going to have to prioritize improvement because we will lose potentially a point here on the STAR rating for attendance, with 28% of our students being chronically absent. With those numbers sitting where they are, we're going to need a major shift in our school culture and climate, right? You can see that as of 2019, our score would have been 2 points earned on attendance. But as of now, we would drop right back down to 1 point. Our RICAS test scores from 2018 and 19 to 20 and 21 show that our students didn't move much despite having a major change in the way that things were being done, right? We were teaching through computers. We were learning in an environment that was completely foreign to something that we've been used to for a long time. And yet ELA didn't change much, which tells me that that's an area that we can definitely identify for growth. Math is where our students saw the significant dip. Teaching math through computers, we noticed, just did not work as well as what it should have, right? Our number of students not meeting expectations increased. Our number of students partially meeting expectations decreased. Our number of students meeting expectations decreased, and our number of students exceeding expectations decreased. This identifies a major area of need, right? Our math and ELA growth as of 18 and 19 was in the middle, with us gaining 2 points. But I'm sorry to report that as of this past year, the majority of our students were showing low growth in ELA. At 60% of our students showing low growth. 79% of our students in math were showing low growth this past year. These are two major areas of need that we're going to have to improve on in order to improve our ride report card score and to not go lower. Something that I forgot to mention earlier is that on your ride report card, your school is only rated as high as your lowest score, right? So we could score threes on everything, but then have student attendance be low. And we'd be marked as low as student attendance can go, which would be a two, right? Or with growth levels in math. These things could tank us as low as a one-star school. So this is going to be very important for us as we prioritize an action plan. So here's what we're already doing, some things we're doing well. This past year, to improve teaching and learning, we rolled out a writing process known as SRSD, which stands for self-regulated, self-directed. And basically it's a movement in writing to try to get students to be involved and conscious of the writing process, right? It involves making decisions, planning, organizing, revising, and then writing. And it's something that we've done through a unified approach with science, social studies, and ELA. All of our humanities classes, all of our science classes jumped on board and were really willing to get down to professional development, having pilot teachers who led and welcomed other teachers into their classrooms, as well as providing professional development and really just they served as our local experts while we had out of district professional development come from Leslie Laud, um, who helped us implement SRSD this past year. We've seen large growth in other districts in Rhode Island using this process, including Pawtucket and in Cumberland. Our leadership team met with all of these school districts previously to this year before we rolled out this SRSD curriculum. And we really have a lot of reason to think, based on evaluations and some of the early data we're seeing from iReady, that our students are going to show massive ELA growth after using this process. So that's something that we have to be hopeful for. Here are some areas that we really need to gain in order to gain a next star. We have to improve our attendance. We need to improve our math achievement and our ELA achievement in order to move from a two-star school to that three-star school, right? Rome wasn't built in a day, and there's really only one way to eat a whale, one bite at a time, right? So we got this massive problem. Here's what we can focus on to improve in Martin Middle School. So here are some action steps that we're going to take in order to improve Martin Middle School. For attendance, we need to use those ESSA funds. We need to use COVID relief to hire therapists and an extra school psychologist. Our students need to talk to professionals about some of the issues and the trauma that they and we all felt as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. We need to increase parent outreach about our attendance. We need to involve families. We need to use the attendance nudge. And we need to continue tracking and intervening using the process that we've used that's worked for us in the past to be followed by our attendance team. We need increased communication between our middle school and our feeder elementary schools. We need to know before the fall comes who's coming up that is having attendance issues, right? We need to be able to identify those students right away and start on them right away in September. In our old model, we were waiting until October to take action. That's too late, right? We know sometimes that we could lose a student if they just missed 6 days of school in September. They're already in massive trouble, right? As far as math goes, we need to vet and implement a new Ed Reports rated curriculum for math, which means we're going to have to provide teachers with PD and time and substitutes to plan for and choose the best curriculum. And then ultimately, once we choose that curriculum, we're going to need to give them time to implement it, time to meet, time to plan. So this is all going to have to be something that we're going to need to budget for. As far as English goes, and ELA scores go, I should say, we're going to need to monitor teacher use of SRSD through targeted evaluation, and then we're going to need to identify and incentivize who our teacher experts are here at Martin Middle School so that those teacher experts can work with everyone else in order to show them how we want to implement this new SRSD curriculum and also how we can improve it for the future. As far as reflecting and some questions that you might have go, is there anything you'd like us to revisit? And what questions do you have about the data? I know this can be a lot to look at, but remember, together we can move the needle forward to strive to have a school that meets the unique needs of every student here at Martin Middle School. Because listen, it's too important not to. And I know that with Townie pride and a little bit of extra effort, we can make this happen. Thank you very much for having me here tonight.